Hello, guys. Um, Many of us walk into the grocery store, I would say at least once a week, and we notice the fruit and vegetables that are sitting on the shelf. Do we consider where they came from or who picked them? No, but one thing we know for sure is farmers pick the fruit and truckers transport the food to their destination. However, we don't think about the conditions that farmers encounter, whether they're paid right or whether they're supplied with water or whether they can use the restroom. We're not aware of those things because we don't see them firsthand, but that doesn't mean they do not exist. Cesar Chavez was someone who very well knew of these struggles. He was born on March 27, 1927, in Yuma, Arizona, to two immigrant parents. Many of us are aware of who Cesar Chavez is, but many of us aren't. And for those of us who do not know, this is a picture of Cesar Chavez, also known as a farmer working or the farm worker activist. He moved to California in 1939 with his parents and his brothers and sisters, and he was forced to work on these fields. He had to work very long hours so him and his family could make a living here. During those 10 years, he saw a lot of racism. They did not have paid breaks. They were even forced to work plenty of hours under the hot sun with no water. Unfortunately, he had no other choice but to stick here because he had no other opportunity. However, in 1952 his opportunity came and two people approached him, which were Ronald McDonough, who was a Catholic priest activist, and Fred Ross, who were part of an organization known as a community service organization. He joined this committee, and for 10 years he worked his way up to the top to becoming national director. But he resigned in 1962 because he felt it wasn't his calling. He felt that he had to go out and support the farmers. He felt that it was his calling to go and change the rules for the farmers. He wanted to better their conditions. He wanted them to be treated right. He wanted equality for farm workers, not only seen as workers, but as human beings. So in 1962, he co-founded an organization known as the National Workers Organization, and he fought for the workers. However, in 1962, they went on many strikes with other organizations, and they came across the Agricultural Worker Organization Committee, and they joined together to form the United Farm Workers in 1972, which was when Dolores Huertas joined the organization, and they fought for the rights of the farm workers. However, in 1962, there weren't many paying members in their organization because many of them weren't aware of their cause or what they were fighting for. So in 1966, Cesar Chavez organized the biggest strike, which was known as the Delano strike, which they marched 300 miles from Delano, California to the state capital, which was Sacramento, in efforts to bring people aware of the problems that farmers are facing. He also wanted the government to allow farmers to bargain with the vendors, to form contracts, to have the farmers treated right. He would not stop at anything to get his point across, which was why he fasted. As we know, 25 days he got without eating. This is something hard, but he was so passionate about it that he would do anything to get his point across, and he did. This brought national attention. So did the Delano strike. This was the biggest strike, and if you go on YouTube and you search up the Delano strike, you'll see how much supporters he had. And they even carried banners that said Huelga, which is strike in Spanish, and Viva la Causa, which was long live our cause. This shows how passionate he was and how passionate his supporters were to change things for farm workers. Thankfully, thanks to Cesar Chavez and his efforts, farmers were granted benefits. They were now they were now allowed paid breaks. They had restrooms because before they had no restrooms. They even have workers' compensation if the farmers get injured on the job, and according to the Cesar Chavez Foundation, during the Robert F. Kennedy presidential term, he paid out more than $200 million in benefits to farmers. They were granted retirement plans, and like I said before, they had workers' compensation in case they ever got hurt on the job. And they even had this thing called as parental leave if their wives got pregnant, so they can go and spend some time with their wife and their newborn child. Cesar Chavez accomplished so much for workers, and which is why he was so influential to not only the farmers but to everyone. He was so passionate about his drive to better things for them that he would do anything. Like I said, he even resigned his position as a national director, which just shows how passionate he is. And unfortunately, on April 23rd, 1993, he passed away, and many believe it was because of his fasting, damaged which damaged his not only his mental health but his physical health. And thankfully, we have one day that President Obama granted as a holiday for Cesar Chavez in 2013, which is every year on March 31st. This day is to remember and recognize the difference he made for so many people in the world. So I think we shouldn't take for granted all that farmers do for us. So next time we go to the market and we see all these fruit and vegetables on the shelf, just remember that people worked hard to get them there and we shouldn't take it for granted.